Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tando. I'll be taking you through our wonderful estate, and I'll be showcasing you the history of the estate, and as well giving you a detailed explanation of how each style of the house is made, so you can follow me up the stairs. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, you can spread out so everyone can see or hear me. It will be a bit noisy here because they're currently preparing for the next harvest. Before I start, I'd like to give you a brief history of the estate. So, Groot Constantia is one of the oldest surviving trademarks in the wine world. Particularly in South Africa, it's the oldest wine estate. It was established in 1685 by Simon van der Stel. He first worked as the governor of the Cape. He was appointed by the Dutch East India Company. For many years, working as the governor of the Cape, he requested land, about 763 hectares, at the back of Table Mountain, stretching all the way to Table Bay, and conducted soil samples all the way from here to the peninsula, and discovered that this particular region, which he named Constantia, is very good for viticulture, and he also liked the scenery he got here. Okay? So the size of the estate currently is around 100 hectares. We have 90 hectares under vine. We produce about 70% red, 30% white. Okay? So the main difference between white wine and red wine making: white wines will press before fermentation, red wines will press after fermentation. With white wines particularly, we like to ferment at a colder temperature, between 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. That is known as a cold fermentation, to preserve the aromatics. With reds, we'll generally ferment at a warmer temperature at around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius, because with reds particularly, the anthocyanins are what gives you the other color compounds. So we need to do a lot of pressing to get the desired color we're looking for. So we'll do extended press punching down and pumping overs with our red wines. Okay? So I'd like us to move to that side, where I'll show you the two machines we're using for our pressing. So ladies and gentlemen, first machine, this is our pneumatic pressing machine. So this machine is very good because when we're pressing the grapes, we don't want to burst the pips which are found inside the grapes, which contain unnecessary oil and tannin. So the pneumatic pressing machine has a membrane inside which will gently squeeze in the grapes without crushing the pips. So that's what is mainly used nowadays in the wine industry. That machine is coming from Switzerland. We have another one which is coming from Germany. Okay. And on this side, this is you can maybe do a lot of blending. You can go to that side. So some of these tanks will be used for blending purposes. We have 3 blends. We have the Lady of Abundance, Governor's Heart, and the Governor's Root. So you can follow me to that side. So here is our second machine. As you can tell, it was used because you see the red stains which have left over. So this is generally where they'll press the grapes and then they'll pump the juice, the pressed juice, straight into the machines. Straight into the tanks, and then they'll kickstart the fermentation. Okay? And then I'd like to draw your attention to that side where I'll explain about those diagrams you see. Okay, so on the estate we only do hand harvesting. We don't do machine harvesting because we believe that a person has better judgment. It also ensures that the grapes arrive healthy and in whole bunches. So we only do hand harvesting on the estate. Hand harvesting is also very good for job creation as well. So we only do hand harvesting on the estate. And then the second diagram just briefly explains what will happen in terms of white wines. They'll go through the crusher and they'll be pressed in the pneumatic pressing machine, and then they'll go straight to fermentation. With reds, it's the other way around. So we'll take the grapes in the tanks, kickstart the fermentation, and then we'll press after the fermentation. And then this is known as a distema or distalker. So all the stems and leaves will be left over and they will be used as mulch in the vines during the dormant season, which is June for us, and in Europe it's summer for you. So here it's June for us, so it's quite dormant. What will remain is the permanent wood you find, and what grows every season are the green parts of the vine. They grow every season, the dark parts will remain. That is known as permanent wood. The green or the shoots, they will grow every season along with the grapes. Okay? And then this is what it looks like inside the fermentation tank. So this is referred to as mash. Sometimes the winemaker might choose to kickstart the fermentation a bit later with the whites. Leave the grapes inside the tanks, and then afterwards you might decide to kickstart the fermentation. So you might do some extended skin contact with the white wines. That's just to extract some flavor and some intensity in the wines. Usually that makes the white wines a bit fuller bodied compared to the other styles, but that's a stylistic option. Each estate has their own preferred house style. And then the wine will go through cooling pipes. That's just to preserve the aromatics. And then there's 2 more stages after this, and then this is what it generally looks like inside that pneumatic pressing machine. So if you can't see, you can come a bit closer. This is the membrane which will expand and gently squeeze the grapes. So we also produce brandy on the farm. Our brandy is made from Sauvignon Blanc and Pinotage. Okay? And also that was one of the wine pumps discovered on the estate. We don't use that anymore. Everything nowadays is the latest tech, so that's why we invest heavily in the newest cellar machinery so we can get the best product for our state. Okay, so I'd like to take you to that map over there just to explain in details about the wine growing regions of the country. grow wine grapes in the Congo because it's too hot. The vine will die. You won't grow them in KZN, it's too wet. So Cape Town has a balance of both. So Cape Town is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean as well as the Indian Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean brings in cool breezes which help regulate the temperatures. The Indian Ocean brings in warm breezes out of the market of the years. But there is one wine estate I know of in Durban, but the wines will taste completely different from there to there. Okay? So the Groot Constantia is very close to Cape Town, and we have Mediterranean climates, and also influenced by the Atlantic Ocean a lot, meaning that we think of the later continent Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch is generally a bit warmer compared to us, so they will pick the grapes a bit earlier than us. Okay, so Stellenbosch is the second oldest wine region after Constantia. Similar Constantia was handing out permits and then to establish wine estates there. That's why the name Stellenbosch comes like a Stellenbosch. And then Paul is generally very warm, but there are pockets where they grow the white grapes and some Italian grapes as well. Some estates generally focus on a bit of both French and Italian. And then the new wine regions are both or Elgin. Elgin is formed by altitude, so they're very good for Chardonnay and Pinot. And then Ellen is predominantly known for Sauvignon Blanc. Almanas is generally known as the best place for Chardonnay and Pinot. And then swelling down Chenin-Blanc, Stellenbosch, also Chenin-Blanc and Pinotage. And then the other regions will generally focus on different types of wines. So the main thing you need to know is that the wine region means that the ocean will have an influence in that region. It will have an influence in that region in regulating the temperatures. So those are the main things you need to know. So let's go to this side. White wines express fortification. Red wines express amplification. Softens the wine. This is the stylistic option. Not all wines go through this, particularly white. Some winemakers may choose to preserve the aromatics and might not let the wine go through the stage, even if the Chardonnay is loud. But with reds, they'll mainly go through this process because this process happens in the barrel. Okay? Do I have any questions before we continue? Okay? We can go to the observation side. That sweet wine was enjoyed by Napoleon and French royalties. So barrels, you can see that they relatively new. The second way of the barrels. So the more time you use the barrel, the less the aromas will pick up. It's the same like a tea bag. The first tea you make will be stronger, and then the more time you're using it, it's lesser. It's the same with the barrels. Okay? So we mainly use French oak barrels. French oak is very mild compared to American oak. So most estates will use French oak. After we use it, the full time will generally sold to branding estates. Because the brandy, the more time you use the barrel. So we're using 300 liter, 400 liter, and 500 liter French oak barrels. Okay? These are 2,700 liter. Okay? The then I'd like to draw your attention to this diagram over here. So a barrel has is toasted inside, so that will caramelize the natural sugars found within the wood, which will give you all of those aromas. We'll generally use light and medium toast. We won't use heavy toast because heavy toast imparts a lot of flavors in the wine which we're not looking for. We still want you to taste where the grapes are coming from and not taste the wine making inside. So 90% is what happens in the vine, 10% is the wine making decisions we make on this estate. So our barrels are coming from France. So we don't make the barrels. The cooperage is in Bordeaux. They make the barrels and then they sell them here. There's only one estate in South Africa which has their own in-house cooper, which will make the barrel. That is Rupert and Rothschild in France. Okay. So I'd like for us to go to that side where you can see those two big barrels. Also, they were not very good for maturation purposes. The wine generally went through premature oxidation because you can't really fill that barrel up. There will always be some oxygen which will get in contact with the wine. So we generally don't use those barrels anymore. So the wood is coming from America, but the barrel was assembled in Italy. Italians love the American oak, but nowadays the style is to use a bit of the youth nowadays likes to experiment with the younger winemakers, so they would like to use a bit more French, but the traditional estates still use more Italian oaks. Still use more American oak. Okay, so that's a 9,958 liter. That's a 5,110 liter. So we're no longer using those barrels. We generally use smaller ones. The best barrel is 225 liter. Because the wood is in contact, the wine can get in contact with the surface area of the wood. Okay? So that is the end of the tour. I'm hoping you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask me. Okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay? So you can wait at the front desk to receive your glass for the tasting if you haven't mistaken.
Wie Tromdel.